On July 3, 2026, a highly anticipated film starring Diljit Dosanjh quietly debuted on an Indian streaming platform. Within 48 hours, the platform deleted it. No legal explanation, no political statement. Just gone. Before its digital vanishing act, the Indian censor board tried to carve the movie down to the bone. They demanded 127 cuts. They wanted key dialogue removed. They even demanded the filmmakers change the real, historical names of the main characters. When the creators refused, the board denied the film a theatrical release altogether. The film is called Satluj. It follows the true story of Jaswant Singh Khalra, an activist who audited municipal cremation records in the 1990s and accused the state police of kidnapping and secretly burning thousands of young men. This raises an obvious question. The events in this film took place 30 years ago. Why is the modern administrative apparatus working so hard to ensure you never see it? By looking at exactly what the censors wanted removed, we get a clear view into the unresolved trauma of India's most violent decade. By the early 1980s, an armed insurgency had taken root in Punjab. Militants stockpiled weapons inside the Golden Temple complex, the holiest site in Sikhism. In 1984, the Indian military launched Operation Blue Star, sending tanks into the shrine to clear them out. 4 months later, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated. The immediate fallout was a wave of targeted violence against Sikhs across the country. Inside Punjab, law and order completely collapsed. Militants routinely pulled civilians from buses and executed them on the roadside. The fear was so absolute that local police officers refused to wear their uniforms after dark. To regain control, the government brought in Director General of Police KPS Gill. He was given a single mandate: break the insurgency, whatever the cost. Gill instituted a strict bullet-for-bullet policy. He gave his officers a free hand to eliminate threats and established a system of bounties. Police who captured or killed militants were heavily rewarded with cash and rapid promotions. This aggressive strategy worked. The insurgency was crushed, and the state remained part of India. But pairing absolute authority with financial incentives created a deadly side effect: an unchecked police force actively looking for targets to collect bounties. Throughout the early 90s, young men began disappearing from Punjabi villages. Police would take them away for questioning, and they would simply vanish. No arrest records, no court dates, no answers for their families. Jaswant Singh Khalra, a local bank director and human rights activist, decided to find out where they went. Working quietly, he began visiting municipal cremation grounds, matching the dates of disappearances to the local logs of firewood purchased for cremations. In the municipal ledgers for the Amritsar region, Khalra counted over 2,000 bodies labeled unclaimed and quietly burned. Applying that rate across the entire map of Punjab, he estimated the total missing men could reach 25,000. He took these ledgers to the international press. He traveled to Canada and the UK, presenting the cremation data to human rights organizations and directly accusing the Indian state of mass illegal killings. The retaliation was swift. On September 6th, Khalra was washing his car when a police van pulled up. Officers forced him inside and drove off. A decade later, a Central Bureau of Investigation probe proved what happened next. Officers held Khalra in illegal custody, tortured him to drop his findings, and then shot him, throwing his body into a river. In 2005, a court sentenced the officers involved to life in prison. Khalra gave his life to expose the data. For the filmmakers of Satluj, this sacrifice made him a clear martyr, giving their story a powerful, unassailable moral center. So, if the courts proved Khalra was white, why ban the film? Because for many critics, and for the censor board, telling Khalra's story without the surrounding context only presents half of the historical truth. Opponents point out that the movie ignores the sheer scale of militant violence. Insurgents were actively bombing markets and running targeted campaigns to massacre Hindu civilians, which forced the government into an extreme, militarized response. Viewers also note the film paints the entire police force as cartoonish villains. In reality, over 1,700 police officers, many of them Sikh themselves, were killed in action fighting the insurgents. The movie leaves their sacrifice out completely. Then there is the portrayal of KPS Gill. While human rights groups view his methods as criminal, millions of citizens and state officials see him as the strict administrator who stared down a heavily armed enemy and held a fractured nation together. Even the cremation logs have a second angle. Many of the unclaimed bodies were active militants using fake identities to avoid detection. In other cases, terrified families simply refused to claim the bodies of insurgent relatives due to the heavy social and legal stigma, leaving the police to dispose of them administratively. The sudden removal of Satluj from streaming platforms is a reaction from a state that secured its peace through extreme, extrajudicial violence and is now learning a hard lesson. You can ban a movie, but the ghosts of those years are still here, and they demand to be seen.